All the main trailers have been revealed for FIFA 23. We've now gone through gameplay features, Hypermotion 2, Career Mode, Ultimate Team, Pro Clubs, and Volta. Now it's time to give my initial opinion on everything that has been released. But before we do get into the video, if you're looking to get some very easy coins for FIFA 22, if you're still playing this game, or maybe you're looking forward to FIFA 23 and want to get some coins when that game is released, then there is no better place than Mule Factory. Completely reliable, and if you use Fnatic 5 at checkout, you also get yourself a 5% discount. Link can be found in the description down below. Getting back into the video, I really should start out by saying that I'm mainly an Ultimate Team player, so that really is my main focus, but I am always looking for a reason to play other game modes. Unfortunately, this is another year where FUT is going to be the game mode I play 99% of the time. That's because it has had the most changes. So let's actually go through some of the highlights. Ultimate Team is getting a completely new game mode called FUT Moments. These are snippets of gameplay where you would only be playing a couple minutes of each game, but you'll be given a very specific task. This could be something simple such as scoring a penalty, scoring a free kick, scoring from a corner, or it could be cases where you're in the 80th minute, you have 10 minutes left of the game, you're 2-0 down, and what you need to do is win the game. Chemistry has also been completely redefined. Now you can actually use any player in any position with any other players around them, and they will always be playing at their base stats. But if you do put them in the right position as well as get enough players around them which don't need to be connected to them directly, they could just be anywhere within the team, then your player stats will be boosted. Cross-platform is now also part of Ultimate Team. We sort of expected this because EA were testing this with FIFA 22 across various game modes, but in FIFA 23, if you're an Xbox player, you will be able to play other players on PlayStation. And it's not just about playing against each other, you'll also be able to see this across competitive game modes within the leaderboards, and there's also a shared transfer market. The only ones that are not part of this is PC and Nintendo Switch. You guys have a completely separate transfer market for yourselves. Now, of course, Ultimate Team did get the most changes because it is the biggest moneymaker. That's always going to be the way things are. And I think for a lot of these changes, they're pretty decent. I wouldn't say that these are the biggest changes that we've ever had as part of Ultimate Team, but they're definitely there to supply a particular type of audience within FIFA. And even though it may not benefit me directly, I think, for example, FUT Moments, and this does come down to the rewards that are there throughout the year, but I think I may try out right at the beginning as it's a new game mode, but it may not be something that I go through all year round. But I still think it's a good game mode for those that do have a very limited amount of time. The only problems I have so far with Ultimate Team is that they've said nothing about some of the problems that we've all had to go through this year. There's no mention of draw quits. This is when it could be 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, and then all of a sudden your opponent quits, they get the loss, but you get nothing. That game doesn't count for you. You could be in situations where it's the 90th minute, it's 1-1, and all of a sudden you get a penalty. Your opponent quits the game and you get nothing for it. They still get the loss, but really, even though you had the penalty and the advantage of scoring, that game didn't count for you. Another thing that hasn't been mentioned is anything to do with division rivals or FUT champions. Now, the layouts for these game modes is perfectly fine, I have no problem with it, but yet again, draws within division rivals can act as losses depending where you are. If you're on a checkpoint and you draw your next game, you can't go backwards, you can't go forwards because, well, you draw the game, but you do lose your winning streak. That's the exact same result as if you hit a checkpoint and you lose the next game. You can't go forward, you can't go backwards because you lost the game, but you're also at a checkpoint. And of course, you lose your winning streak. But in the grand scheme of things, this is not too much of a problem. A lot of the changes I'm looking forward to with Ultimate Team next year. I just hope gameplay is going to be good. But of course, that all comes down to their first patch, because that's normally the one that screws over everything. But this is also the point in where we go to the other game modes, which are being completely neglected. Starting off, Career Mode. The changes that have been included is playable highlights, main menu overhaul, a new dynamic moment system, transfer analysis at the end of every single transfer that you make, and new player personalities broken down into 3 different sectors: Maverick, Virtuoso, and Heartbeat. As an outsider looking in, I think playable highlights and player personalities are pretty cool. Also, the new menu overhaul, new dynamic moments, and transfer analysis are nice changes. Nothing too major, but it is something to make it feel a bit fresher. But this is where it does get weird. As part of player personalities, there's a section where you can make decisions, investments, and shopping. Your decisions, I understand this. This does make sense. It ties into your player personality. If you suffer a defeat, the way that you respond to it will dictate pretty much how the fans see you and how players see you. And it makes sense for it to link into your player personality and how you're perceived within the team. But then we also have investments and shopping. You can buy into these items and this does affect your player personality. But that's all it does. And from what's been shown within a trailer and what's been said so far, you don't even see the item. It's just a thing where you go through the menu, you buy it, and never see it again after those stats have been added to you. It unlocks no additional content and makes no difference to cinematics. You just buy the item, player stats are added, and it changes immediately, and then nothing else. It's just whenever you go back into that tab, you see that you've already bought that item, so you can't buy it again, but it leads to nothing else after. An example which is shown is that you can buy a bike. I understand how that will reflect your player's stats, but it's never the case of you seen ever using it. It's just a case that you've bought a bike. And I honestly feel like this is just a feature that has been added for the whole sake of being added. There's no reason behind it. It would have been much better if there was cinematics connected to these so that you can actually see it, or you can go through mini games as part of it. That would actually give some value. But there's nothing of the sorts for any of this stuff. And this is why loads of players would look at career mode and look at Ultimate Team and feel like career mode has just been pushed to the side whilst they focus more on Ultimate Team. Ultimate Team gets these major new game modes, whereas career mode gets a few changes with some features, and some of the features that are added just seem half-assed. They don't make sense in any type of game design scenario. But this is where things get really bad. This is where we move on to pro clubs and of course Volta. The changes for pro clubs this year are shared progression system with Volta, drop-in matches, which was already a thing, but now you've got new stadiums, new kits given a better rotation, and these matches have been brought down to 4 minutes per half, making them a lot quicker and faster. And if the game does result in a draw, instead of it going to extra time and penalties, it now goes to golden goal. There's new perks added to the game, and skill games have also been added to pro clubs. Now, at least with career mode, even though it does feel slightly neglected, at least it did have some new features which has never been seen within Ultimate Team before. Nothing here is really new, apart from the 4 new perks that have been added, which, let's be real, are not massive game changers. Everything else has already been within the game before within other game modes, which is now finally been brought to pro clubs, or there's just a few slight changes, being the drop-in matches. If career mode was already a second thought, pro clubs was at the bottom of the list. It's almost like they forgot about it and then decided that this is the time to do and start pushing content to pro clubs maybe a week before the reveal. And just as an example for this, the seasons that have been added to pro clubs haven't actually been added. Instead, it's the exact same seasons as what you have with Volta, but now the XP that you get from pro clubs is just redirected into that season. You can't even go into the pro clubs menu and select the rewards that you've been able to unlock. You need to complete your match, claim your XP, back out of pro clubs, head over to Volta, enter Volta, claim your rewards there to then back out of Volta to go back into pro clubs. It's not even a menu that you can see both in Volta and Pro Clubs at the same time. And it's such a shame because Pro Clubs has so much more potential than every other game mode within FIFA. But it just never gets the attention it deserves because it doesn't make money. Ultimate Team makes money, it gets the most attention. And that's the reason why. Just to show you how much Pro Clubs have been pushed to the side, everywhere else within FIFA 23 where there can be, there is cross-platform. You can do cross-play. You can't do it within pro clubs, when this is probably the game mode that needs it the most. It's definitely been another year where EA was so excited to push content to Ultimate Team that that's where they spent most of their time. They did this all the way round to April 2021 where they were like, crap, we forgot to push content to career mode. That's when they started to work on that game mode, and then a week before the FIFA 23 reveal, some junior associate said, what about pro clubs? And that's when EA went into panic mode as they tried to add something. And of course at that point, the only thing that they could do was add stuff and make changes to the game which is already within the game, and not actually create anything new for a game mode which does have so much potential. This is another year where I'm going to be spending 99% of my time going through Ultimate Team and then probably just going to other game modes when I need recorded footage, because there's no new changes which actually brings any excitement and makes me want to go into anything else. But anyway guys, these are just my opinions on FIFA 23 with what's been revealed so far. Let me know in the comment section down below all of your opinions. I assume for a lot of you, you feel exactly the same. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going. So see ya.